I ask for the truth on behalf of Breanne Bergie. I think that's how it's pronounced. Breanne just wants to know what's going to be going on for the next 12 months or so between now and 2024, I suppose. Nothing specific. I don't really like being general, but we'll give you the answer to the question you don't want to ask. And let's see what's really going on as we ask for guidance and insight in the name of truth, right conduct, peace, love and non-violence. Blessed be to the supernatural truth always. The supernatural truth is always the truth, isn't it, anyway? So we'll deal out 3 cards here. Or have really 3 cards. Well, yeah, the start of that. But I'm going to do like January, February, March, April, so on. But every 3rd card. That's what I meant to say. So the 3rd card, as you'd say now, is January, now. You could say between now and the 28th of February, to the end of February or something like that, maybe. Let's just see what that's got to show for you. Well, as you can see, we got the energy of bad health vibrating the sort of the current foreseeable period. Yeah, winter flus, Chinese bioweapon. Vaccines don't work for it, but then they won't, well, because they've been the bioweapon from China, the vaccine for that bioweapon was given help by China help from China was given to create it. So help from an enemy to cure the problem they're trying to kill you with. It's like buying air raid shelters off Germany, isn't it, in the Second World War? You just don't do it, you make your own. But laughing and joking apart there, because it is funny, isn't it, how stupid we've all been, and how, I suppose, it's the snowflakes in us, and now it's been politically correct to just let them walk all over us. And I suppose that's when bad health kicks in, isn't it, when we're complacent. I'm sort of getting a bit as though there's complacency. This isn't just the bioweapon from the Wuhan Institute of Bioweapons, but this is maybe your own health. Maybe you knew you got a health problem, and you've just let it go a bit, and you may, in this literal sense of the word, had to spend a bit of time in hospital, just being checked over. But that's the vigilance that's needed, and I always focus on the windows in this particular deck. This fortune-telling deck here, the gypsy fortune-telling deck, and as if there's something out there. And even though the sun is up, they've still got a light on. So is that wasteful, or is that needed? Let's, as if the light is shining on a bit more light, shed a bit more light on the problem, draw a bit more attention to it. I'm just sort of getting that from that. Let's see what Imbok and so on February has to offer. And when the birds start singing again, or try, while we're all feeding them and looking after them at the moment, well, as they're sort of in like a temporary sort of hibernation, aren't they? Let's just flick this card here to see what's just around the corner for February. Love. I suppose true love and fidelity, or true love, or whatever you want to refer to it, but the love is there, indicating that this is just a thing that I find, or I've found, or recently discovered over the past 30 odd years, 20 odd years, or 27 years. When you go into hospital and whatever, you always find out who your true friends are, and it isn't always your family members neither, because they're the ones who come and visit you and check on you. I had it from the Am Radio Club. Mainly those from the Am Radio Club turned up, but a lot of my own family members didn't. When I was, it was when I broke my leg, wasn't it? Too bloody hell. That was '96, I think. But you realise then, when the shyster Tory government were neglecting the National Health Service like they are now, it's just in a worse mess now than it was before. He soon lost on a landslide, but that's another story. But either way, I always find that you find out who your friends are, and the lovers in February, you're going to discover that there was somebody who was waiting for you. Oh, not, oh God, she just got sick. I may as well. I don't want to be bloody living with a cripple for the rest of my life, or somebody who's going to be having anxiety attacks, or either something mental or something, he's got a bad leg, or he's got this problem or that problem. I don't want to be bloody sort of burdened with that for the rest of my life. I'll move on. No, they didn't. I don't care. It's you that I love, and I don't care about what your condition is. And that's maybe when a lover that was maybe you were. I'm still getting it's like a lover that you were ignoring. Somebody who loved you more. There was more hope than purpose on their part than your part, or whatever. And they had more faith in you than you give them credit for. Or maybe it could be that, or it could be just sort of thinking along this sort of line, where it could be just a love affair that didn't take off but now you realise you're probably just grateful to be alive, or something. I don't know. It's just something like that. Anyway, it's that sort of spin on it. So you've got a choice there. I suppose the more choices we get, the higher chance we've got of being right or perceiving to be right. But it's that sort of thing. And you thought, well, you were there for me when every bugger else buggered off. Sat on the fence, or were just waiting for me to get well, so that I could go round theirs for a party instead of them coming round to me or whatever. God forbid they spend money on petrol or fuel or whatever it is, or tickets or whatever it is for travel. Spending travel money on coming to me. And I'm sort of against that. Maybe you're the one who always drove the car, you drive the car, or you're the one who ferries people around and you're the taxi service when there's a get-together or something. I don't know. Well, let's move on to March. And let's just see what maybe around about the start of time or springtime, of course, but let's just see what we've got. We'll just flip this card nice and slowly and just see what's vibrating around about March time though. Notice there. The energy of sudden wealth. It's a slot machine. Often I think sometimes referred to as some money or whatever in other Lanham versions, that gypsy type decks. But this is more like a you look. You can buy a lottery ticket. Do it in March. Maybe when everybody else is given up, when all the prize money's gone and it's only a low prize again until it rolls over. That's when you can cash in on a small amount but win it. I don't know, but certainly you're going to come into some money. Like I say, it may not be a lot, maybe a bloody massive jackpot. Just remember who it was who told you. But then again, I only said maybe, but not for definite. But either maybe you could. I don't know. Maybe you're doing some sort of ritual or something. um, and there's something like that going on. If you've probably got these purple, these Tesla purple plates here. If we can, you can just place it on top of if you got like $100 or something, or a jar with money in or something, you could just place the energy plate there, on top, and maybe it may act as a magnet and draw in money energy, and thus whatever it's sitting on will be added to in some positive way. It heals it. I suppose you could perceive it as that, couldn't you? So there's all that going on. But putting these aside, I'll just stick it back over there again. I don't know, the lottery ticket's there. Maybe you stick it on top of your lottery ticket and see if it brings whatever you're trying to bring about. Let's just place it. I want to try something. I know it's all well. The next card is going to be the next card, the next third card, as you'd say, is what it is, and you can't make it any easier, whatever you do. But I just want to just place the Tesla plate over these three cards here to try and energise it, to see if it can sort of bring something a bit more positive. Despair that's just around the corner from that. Maybe the positive energy is behind you, I don't know. But certainly maybe you're going to need some sort of energy here, on carrying you. I suppose if you're carrying it in your wallet, you can, I suppose you could stick it in the card holder there, couldn't you, I suppose, and then do that, and maybe that could help in some way. But either way, it looks as though despair is just around the corner for January, February, March, for April, the new financial year. More, I don't know, despair in that sense, but more, oh bloody hell, not again, or oh not this again, when are we going to move on? Although you will have come into sudden wealth, money, it isn't, of course, as my late grandma always used to say, money doesn't make you can't buy happiness, but you can be miserable in comfort. And I'm sort of getting that miserable in comfort sort of scenario there for April. Maybe it's the same old check again, or the same old people sort of means testing you, or asking you the same question and assuming that you're not this or not that, or whatever. A bit like our Tory shyster government. We don't learn, do we, in the UK? We still vote the same shysters then, and these are virtually behaving like the Nazis, how the Nazis were toward the Jews, except of course the Nazis didn't like the Jews for having the money. They blamed them for screwing the economy up, whereas the shyster Tories blamed the sick and disabled and the poor and all the vulnerable for screwing the economy up, maybe because they were taking support and financial support and whatever from the state, and so it was a case of your leg, that was amputated has grown back again. Just keep in touch and let us know it hasn't, or else we'll sanction you and punish you for not letting us know, or we'll assume that you're on the federal or something. And it's always the shysters who fuck everything up, who want to go and blame everybody else and pass the buck on to everybody else. This is what I've always never sort of understood. Let's see though what what's going on around, although that may be happening to you in some way, people saying you're not disabled, or you're not pregnant, or you're not, you've got something stashed away under the bed, or you can really afford your food, and the kids are starving and everything. You're just a neglectful mother, or whatever people accuse that people of. March, April, May. Let's just have a look around at what's happening in May. Ooh, maybe your luck's in or isn't, I don't know. But there is a wealthy man coming in on the scene. I don't know who this is. He could be a relative, a brother, or a father figure, or uncle, or something like that. But I'm sort of going as though maybe you'll be bumping into somebody January, February, March, April, May, around about May. So just as the despair kicks in, when you come into a bit of money, just a look that dictates. There's $100 under the kitchen, under something in the kitchen drawer or in the cupboard or something. It just ties you through to help you pay your bus fare or your food bills, or keeping you warm just until spring kicks in or something. But then the same old despair and whatever. Oh God, not a bloody again. We're here again. Back to sort of how it was again. But of course it was illness that did it, doesn't it? The illness, maybe now, maybe you've been on the sick or something, and it's been that screwed things up. But the lovers, there's been somebody there who does give a damn about you, and maybe the wealthy man might be the lover who comes into some money, or it's just somebody, a friend or whatever. But either way, there's a wealthy man just around the corner there. Just when you think, oh shit, here we go again, like a saviour type sort of thing going on. Lucky you. Send them my way if you can. That's if you remember who told you. But either way, January, February, March, April, May. Let's see, April, May. What about June, around summertime? You got imprisonment there. As if maybe you just become trapped and confined, become a prisoner literally to it. There's no need to move on, we've got enough, or I know somebody who's got enough. And I suppose that could be insecurity as well, to some degree, because once you start going into that sort of mindset, when things do go wrong and you do discover nobody is there for you, or the one who's there for you, something happens to them, God forbid, you're stuck. When we were doing the totalitarian emulation of the Wuhan, when the Wuhan Institute of Bioweapons kicked off, and we were all emulating and all showing China how we can abuse our people like they can abuse theirs, so we can be like them, and sort of make them feel as though we're empathising with them in some way, or behaving like them, so they wouldn't throw another weapon at us to try and make us behave like that, the shit that they are. When this card came up, it predicted lockdowns, Chinese style, totalitarian sort of left-wing control freakery, and you could see you could see when the next lockdown was going to be, or when the lockdown was coming to an end, or whatever. You did sort of have a trend when we used to do 12 months, and we used to do 12 months readings with these early on. It was sort of a signpost, so maybe it's a signpost for everybody else, I don't know. Let's see what's going on around the corner in July. I suppose we're into midsummer now, aren't we? I suppose being a prisoner when the weather's okay, you don't have to. There are no shysters having your money off you for heating your home because you don't need it. High honour. Well, this could be either like passing an exam, or just somebody saying, well, good on you, we respect you for that, and or you win some sort of award or something, or I don't know. But certainly you'll be held in high regard. Well, you could call it high regard, couldn't you? But you'll be held with people say good on you for sticking by when you were trapped and confined last month in June. Good on you for doing it, because you're the one who saved the money. You're the one who hasn't fallen for paying more or whatever. You've told the shopkeeper that they're a shyster, or that they're a bloody con artist, or they're just greedy little bastards cashing in on a crisis, even though maybe it might not be fully within their power. But you've had the balls to actually speak out against, and good on you. You experienced the despair of poverty, but certainly the despair before, and maybe a rich man is just there. I'm not taking pity on you, but certainly, but you could become a prisoner to great riches as well as becoming a prisoner to poverty or despair as well. So either way, it's sort of like, you know, which one would you rather? You know, everything has its upsides, even I suppose being at the bottom and liking it there to some degree. Although you don't make much money, you do. It's more secure than taking risks, but nevertheless you will be held in high honour. So I'm sort of getting, if it is a career type thing, then maybe it could be the career move, or the result that you're after to help you move on from a material point of view. Because that's all that matters really at the end of the day. Money, isn't it? Say love matters, of course it does, and spiritual things matter, of course, probably more than most things. But in the realistic world, it's money. When people go on strike from the job and tell their employer they want better conditions and better working conditions and better and more pay. They're doing it for pay and working conditions. They're not. They're doing it for pay. They want more money to afford the rising prices. It's nothing to do with conditions. People will work under all sorts of conditions if you pay them enough. So it's ridiculous to say that they're claiming about conditions and they're being bullied, because they're always being bullied. So it's all about doing what you're told. But at the end of the day, around about January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, around about August time here, I notice we've got the family room. January, February, March, April, May, June, July, and August. The family room as seems to be here. That can symbolise privacy, really. It's literally what it is. It's the family room in the sense it's privacy. It could be secrecy as well, where you can actually confide in somebody and have a bit of space. So around about August time, you'll be able to, if you want to talk to anybody about what's going on, but you don't want to share it with other people who might snitch on you or just gossip or whatever, then August is a good time for that. That sort of thing. I suppose for those, you know, for those sort of connections, and that's just clarifying it really. But it just means you've got privacy. So if you want to trust anybody, you can be in the right environment for it, to be trusted. Yes, it may be emotionally overwhelming, but you can share your emotions there around about August, September. What's going on in September? The poverty. We read it as it is, as it says there, but I often think it's the cloud as well, because the dark cloud to the left and the lighter part to the right, and it's as if the cloud will be, although you'll have your privacy, nevertheless a black cloud will have been over you at that time, but it will be behind you as well. but you financially or materially, maybe from a physical point of view in the love department, maybe you could be worse off as well. And nobody loves a fairy when she's 40 or when she's getting too old or when she's over the hill and whatever. Somebody wants somebody a bit more virile or a bit more what's it about it, if it's that. But other than that, you will be physically, or maybe it's the health condition coming back that's just taking place now. Maybe it's a spin-off from that, and you won't be able to get a proper job because of, and you're relying on luck, which your luck, of course, as we know, your luck will be in March. So a few more months, a few more weeks or months or whatever, a couple more months, and but it's more just providing respite. It isn't like a permanent thing you can live off for the rest of your life, but you will and end up worse off as you get your privacy. Maybe that's the price for privacy, the price for the lover that's coming next month to stay there through thick and thin, richer or poorer. As my grandma always used to say, you should always be married 16 times, 4 richer, 4 poorer, 4 better, 4 worse. I'll leave you to do the calculations on that one. But either way, as the year progresses, January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, we then enter into October, which is around Beltane time, isn't it? Not Beltane time, sorry, Samhain, Halloween or All Souls or whatever. So we enter into that situation. Just so we know what we're up against here, just go I don't know, 1, 2, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October. Right, that's it. 1, 2. That's it. Just so we knew what the third one was there. And we're into oh sorry, no, it isn't that one, is it? It's that one. So the community may be socialising more as well, and socialising more will help. Having more to do with the community, maybe, if it's a protest group, if it's one of those sort of things, you want to rise up against your government, then it could be that. Or if it's a health condition and you want to set a support group up that supports people who've got your problem, then that's the case, isn't it? There in October, November. So in November, of course, what's going on in November? They've got the house, which brings security. So I suppose in November there we've got security. So at least there's safety lies in numbers, doesn't it? I'm just literally that for that, and then of course December. What sort of Christmas are you going to have? It looks as though you're on the move or something. It's usually the stalks that she calls it change, but it's somebody on the move, moving out anyway, at least, or they just arrived and they're moving in. But either way, they're all moving out there. Maybe it's time to move on and move out and away from So although that's the sort of Christmas you're having, while everybody else is opening the Christmas presents, you're busy throwing away old ones or something. Why am I sort of, although this wedding isn't here, and it isn't, the adjudication though is there for next January. That's the 13th card. We don't usually pull the 13th if we can help it, but adjudication there. There's a decision in January this time next year that will be the decider to settle whatever the problem is, and maybe the reason is you're being evicted if it's on the negative side. But its strength lies in numbers because you've got the security, so it's not that. But no, that's although you feel secure, it's usually often sometimes emotional attachment to the home as well, isn't it? But although you're feeling secure maybe in the November and the December, of course, you'll still want to move out or want change anyway. You'll want something different. And that's where the judge has to make a decision. And maybe that's just a symbolic of an important decision, that you're the judge and you're the one who's got to make the final judgment. But either way, it's the final decision of whether we stay or whether we go. Whether we move out or do we? I don't know. I'm just sort of sensing as though you'll be on the move though. Even though you were secure, and you'll be on the move and there'll be no need to. But nevertheless, if it is the judge, it could be eviction if you're renting, and it could be some shyster who can get somebody to pay more rent and whatever, and pay the high mortgage that they've taken out or whatever. And it could be you fighting your corner and appealing against it to stop them evicting you. But either way, there's movement in December. So again, it could be an eviction, and if it is, then it could either be the landlord taking you to court to get you out to make it permanent, although if you're moving in December there's no need to do anything in January. So I'm sort of sensing that could be an appeal. That could be you appealing against a shyster landlord who's cashing in on a crisis, like the supermarkets are cashing in on crisis to try and get more money, because it's not about working conditions. Nobody's being bullied or treated like dirt in the workplace, and if they are, that's what they're being paid for. You give them more pay to shut them up. Well, we pay you enough, so we should be able to treat you like shit, because that's what we pay you for. And when just going off on that tangent of when people go on strike for more pay and better working conditions, more pay and more working conditions, better pay and better working conditions, it's bullshit. They're after the pay. It's after that's the money. So that's just, you pay them enough and they'll do whatever you want. You can treat them like shit, or like Amazon and all that. They're all kicking off in Amazon now and getting on strike and everything. Maybe they were being paid enough as it was, or they were happy with being on the gig economy or whatever it is. But as soon as they discover they can't afford food and the basics, then they kick off about the basics. Maybe the people at the bottom and like it there, but when they can't afford to stay at the bottom, they kick off. I don't know, but that's another subject for maybe another time. But either way, for you, I'm sort of going that if it is eviction, it's an appeal against it, and a decision will be made. I'm sort of going maybe in your favour if it is, but if it can't be an eviction and the landlord evicting you because you moved already in December next year or this year. This year as it is now, so you will have moved in December by the time he evicts you, unless you jump before you're pushed. I'm sort of getting that's an appeal. Maybe compensation is in order. I don't know. But that lover that suddenly comes in next month, I don't know what happens. Does he become wealthy and bugger off and discover somebody who's a bit more younger and virile and not so unhealthy? I don't know. But I'm sort of going as though he's somebody who's standing by you throughout all this, and there doesn't really need to be any sort of anything vibrating, any cards to indicate that person anymore, because they're sort of part of it. They're in it with you or whatever you want to call it. But But either way, we'll leave it just for now. I hope that answers the question you didn't want to ask. I really do. As we just cast a dark shadow of supernatural truth, which is always the truth, over all of these cards that have spoken the truth. For now, farewell.